The Kenise and Marc Show. The Kenise and Marc Show. Make sure you tune into the Kenise and Marc Show.
Hello everybody, welcome to Kenise and Marc Show. I'm Kenise.
I am Marc.
All about relationships. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. We really hope this is our 20th?
Yeah.
Our 20th episode.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You made it with 20 episodes. 20 episodes, and when we look back, maybe we'll do like a compilation of all, like a little bit of all of our episodes put together.
That's a whole lot of compilations.
You think our producer is going to be in it, into doing that for us?
I don't know. That's a lot of work.
Well, maybe he's off from school, so maybe he has time.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless he's dating.
Unless he's dating.
And
Yeah.
he's busy with her.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
Or them.
Or them. Oh, maybe we should ask him. We should have him on our show.
Dave is a good-looking brother.
He is a very good-looking brother. And he's
smart,
very sweet. Very
young,
smart.
got a lot going for himself.
There's a lot going for him. So if any single girls out there, you're looking for a good-looking producer, he's single. We can get him on the show one day.
He's single and he's ready to mingle.
Alright, so today we have a little bit of a very strange topic, but we're going to hit on it because we did a couple of episodes ago, we talked about masturbation, which was a topic that, you know, I wanted to talk about because...
and I didn't.
Everybody knows that. And this is another topic so that you don't want to talk about. So we hit on, while we were talking about masturbation, about sexual addiction. And that's our topic today. We're going to cover what is sexual addiction. My thinking about sexual addiction, Marc, is I hired somebody a couple years ago and for my department, and she would constantly be falling asleep in meetings and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, that would irk me because we're in a meeting with like executives and like she would nod off. And during the course of the day, somebody had reported to me that she was always in the bathroom. And so I spoke with her and I said, listen, I'm not sure if there's something that's going on physically or something, but you can't be disappearing for 15-20 minutes a day. Like, you have a lunch, you come in, you have a 1 hour lunch, I expect you to be working. And then she would disappear like for 20-30 minutes at a time, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Come to find out, anyway, I ended up having to terminate her because she was falling asleep in a meeting. And after I terminated her, we became like friends, and we're still friends like on Facebook or whatever. I can fire people and we can still be friends. And come to find out from her was that the reason why she was disappearing is because she was masturbating in the bathroom with a
I don't know.
Vibrator. It's called a rabbit. So it's a little vibrator that they use. And she said, that was the first time I heard the concept or the terminology. She said, I'm addicted to sex. And so she's single. She's still single. She has a child. But I didn't think, this is years ago, I didn't think you could be addicted to sex. So there's my story. On to you. So I Googled it, obviously, because Google is my best friend, and you know that. Mm-hmm. And the definition of a sex addict is somebody who has a progressive intimacy disorder characterized by compulsive sexual thoughts and acts. Over time, it intensifies. So what happens is that you are so addicted to it that over time, it becomes now something where you can't stop. It's an addiction. It's not something that I don't think can be pleasurable after a certain time, but it's just you're so addicted to it, so you can't get enough of it to the point where it leads into like pornography, voyeurism, molestation, or rape. Because you want to act out these things with somebody, and if you're single, or can you be a sex addict? Or I guess the other question is,
Yeah, well, we were talking about this before the show started, and I'm like, okay, is that a bad thing if you're married? Do you have a serious problem if you're married and your wife or your husband has the same feelings you do? Is it considered what's the terms you use?
compulsive?
Compulsive and all of that.
Progressive?
Is that a problem if you're married? I think that's
Okay, so when you're married, you have sex, but a sex addict has sex and then wants like sex all night, all day.
But
That's not possible.
I'm sure there are couples like that.
Okay, if you're
I'm
out
just
there
saying because
like that,
no one is the same. Everybody, I mean, usually what you're reading there is basically considered for people who are single.
yes,
They're not in any kind of committed relationship or marriage. So I guess then it would be a problem.
yeah,
If you're resorting to raping and doing things that's unlawful,
right,
and an invasion of privacy, you know, just really imposing yourself upon somebody. Yeah, all that is bad. But what happens if it's two people?
right.
I guess it's not an issue then.
Well, what if it leads up to pornography, where you now want your partner to look at porn? And we were talking earlier about, you know, a very famous artist, Christian gospel artist, Kirk Franklin, who came out and talked about the fact that he was addicted to porn.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he was a sex addict, but he was married, and he talked about his addiction to porn, which, I mean, the story, like, after just reading a little bit about him, and what he came out to, which was like a big deal.
Yeah, I can remember that a little bit. I think that one of the issues is that he wanted his wife to watch it with him.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that was to get things going before they would be intimate or during intimacy. I don't recall what the story was, but then that situation is probably a problem because it was an imposition on her. She wasn't probably into that, but he was.
Right.
So that's when those things become problematic. But we're gonna continue this when we get back from commercial break.
Fellas, do you ever find yourself being rejected by the ladies because of your breath?
Look, junk in the trunk. Okay, I'm gonna be real. It's a holiday, right? Yeah. Let's me and you gonna make a miracle on 34th Street.
Try Lipsperine and get your relationship back on track.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about sex addiction. We were just discussing, you know, I guess it's probably a problem when you're not married or in a committed relationship. But what if you are married?
I think it can be a problem, Mark.
Okay, talk about it.
Yeah, I feel...
It's a problem if one of the parties is not into it.
Right.
If one has stronger desires than the other,
Right.
then that's a problem.
Right. But I would have a problem if I'm married and then my husband wants to look at porn.
But that's, yeah, of course, that's different. But porn is not the only issue here.
Yeah.
We were talking about, I guess, sexual desires.
Yes.
And just being more than the usual.
Yes. I was looking at something, this is a little bit, tad bit off topic, but I was looking at something on Facebook where they had little children dolls for men, I guess women too, that want to act out their molestation on a child. I think it's the maker is like, it's in China or Japan, and they ship these dolls to, you can order them online. There is a website and you get to create your doll if you want black hair, brown hair.
How do you find out about it?
Listen, I have no idea. You know what? I have no idea. But then when I searched it, it was like an article about like this is what they're doing. And as I was reading the article, it said that typically somebody who molests or will act out on molesting a child, it starts with pornography. So what they were saying was that if they give the people that want to act something out on a child a doll, then they would, the CEO's hopes is that he won't go out and act it out on a child, or she won't go it out.
That's ridiculous.
Right, I'm like, if you have a doll.
If you invite the doll, that's getting things started.
Exactly, then you want like, I don't want a doll, I want a human.
Right.
So
ridiculous.
I mean, but it
That's
just
horrible.
stems from pornography, and pornography I've heard is very addictive. So there's like a few people that I know, they cannot get away from pornography, and they're single, married, or whatever the case, they can't stop. it is becomes, and we talked about it in masturbation, I feel like if you shut off porn or you shut off anything, food or whatever, then you really know if you're really addicted to it, because then you can't do without it.
Right.
So I feel you're saying as a couple, and since we're talking about relationships, if you're I mean, do you feel that as a couple, if you're have a high sex drive, and your spouse doesn't have a high sex drive, do you feel it's okay for that person who has a high sex drive to, you know, look at porn?
Me, you know, that's something that I can't relate to because I've never looked at porn, and
But what's your feel? Like, I don't feel that's
I
right.
don't feel, you know, it's not. I think some will say it's a form of cheating.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I don't see how any good can come out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the two people have to work something out
Yeah.
in their sex life.
Right.
Porn is not the way.
No, well, definitely not. But I like the voyeurism. I didn't realize that, you know, a person who is a sex addict, they may just like people who like watching girls, like they record girls in the bathroom and, you know, and they record them. I mean, so I think that's like voyeurism. And, you know, I love Lifetime movies, you know, and there was a guy who like, it's a true story, and he put a camera in, the home was for sale next door to him, and he put a camera in the master bedroom, so when the couple bought the house, he was like looking,
Watching everything.
watching their
That's sick too.
That is sick, isn't that gross? Like, there's crazy people out there. So I read that as a person who has a sexual addiction, there are 3 ways that it can come about. It could be a biological, could be something that a genetic predisposition. So it could be something that's a gene within you that you just have, that you have very high sex drive. But how do you feed that sex drive, and how do you kind of act it out is kind of hard, because you need help if you have that sex drive. Psychological, so something where maybe something traumatic happened to you, and research shows that if you were like sexually traumatized, you know, from younger, you tend to have a very high sex drive. You tend to be very, what's the word when you sleep around with different people? There's a word for that. I forget the word. Oh. He's such a hoe. Promiscuous. Promiscuous, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Or it could be social. Somebody who is a sex addict, it could be like, you know, out, and just the world rejects them. So I think of like a little nerd with little glasses, and like there's tape around the glasses, and he tries to get into the club and nobody will let them in the club. So he becomes like a outcast to society, so he gets like these porn videos, and that's all he does. That's just so gross.
Yeah, it is.
So, but from the church point of view, somebody who's watching here from a church point of view, who's to call themselves a Christian, and they're doing these things, I mean, what should they be doing about it? Because there's a lot of molestation in the church.
Yes, it is. That's a hard one. Again, we talked about it on the other show. You speak to a person or some people who can identify what you're going through. I mean, that's a hard one. We might have to do another show on this.
Oh
Come
man,
back to that. I don't know.
That's so bad. There's somebody watching that needs our help.
Well, this was your idea.
Yeah, no, this was definitely intense, because I feel it's like it's an addiction that I know I've heard, because I know one person that has I knew the person, and before finding out that he was sexually molesting children, and when he went to prison, I remember the attorney saying, individuals, you can help somebody who's been a drug addict, somebody who's addicted to alcohol, but you really cannot help somebody who is a sexual deviant addict type of person to that
I believe
extent.
it. That's why I was just lost for words when you just asked me. Because I have no words for that. I just don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
How do you help somebody like that? Because I don't know anybody with those kind of problems.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a whole lot of them out there, but I don't know who they are.
I'll bring some to you.
And that's all right.
You can help them.
I have enough problems.
So if you're suffering or you're kind of borderline, I think maybe people watching might be out there and saying, you know what, I dabble a little bit in porn, I watch these videos, because it's really easy. I like went to convert a YouTube video. I wanted to get the music off of the YouTube video, and then I went to some website on my Mac and I converted it into MP3, and it downloaded some kind of, I don't know what type of virus on my Mac. So every time my Mac would go to sleep, and then when I would log back in, on the right side of my Mac would be like a bunch of naked girls.
See?
And I'm like, oh my gosh, and my child uses it. So I had to like get whatever. There was a virus, obviously. But it was just so easy. Like it was just like right there. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? So it's very easy. It's very easily accessible. And I think a lot of our young people are interested because they want to know. You know, they're like curious about it. I've never been curious about it. I think it's nasty. I think it's gross. I think sex was formed for us to really have intimacy with the person that we're in love with.
Right.
It's not used to be like, you know, what's the word? Disgusting. So if you're struggling with a sexual addiction, you know, and it's really now impeding on your relationship, seek help.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, we're huge proponents of that. So again, thank you guys for joining us on our show today. Check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube, like us on Facebook. We would love to hear from you guys also. So thank you for joining us on the Kenise and Marc show. I am Kenise.
I am Marc.
Love you guys.